Let's look at three-room HDB flats first, right? So we really want to look at November and see where November is heading so we can get a sense of how much the cooling measures on TDSR calculations, affordability, and loan to value for HDB has is going to change the market, if at all. So let's look at November, right? So if you look at November, the current November, which is 2022, so far we have 390 transactions, and this is for three-room flats everywhere in Singapore. So if I compare that with, let's say, November 2021 is 597. So really, I think we are probably going to hit 500 plus maybe. So looks like November may be a similar volume to last year, which is during COVID. So if we compare that again with 2020, which was in the thick of COVID, that's 522. So similar volumes. And let's look at November 2019. Now this is the pre-COVID time, and you can see pre-COVID time actually the volume was lower, and of course the prices have been rising ever since then, all the way. And in November, in fact, the median price so far, $520. It seems even higher than last month. So it's difficult to say where three-room flat prices are going. From my own experience in the market in the past few weeks, three-room flat demand is still very high, and three-room flats asking prices have gone up and have not softened. So I see the trend continuing for a while for three-room flats. So if I then look at four-room flats across Singapore. So for four-room flats across Singapore, right, if you look at November 2022, which is this month, which is not complete yet, it's 615. We compare that with November 2021 is 1,077. Now whether we will hit 1,077 for this month, I'm starting to feel maybe the number of transactions will not make 1,000 for this month. That's just my gut feel from what I see in the market. Then we compare that with November 2020 is 982. Will we touch 982? Possible, but I personally doubt. I could be wrong. And then in November 2019, pre-COVID, we had 819. So I think we are kind of going back to almost pre-COVID volume for the four-room flats. Now prices, we cannot say what they will finish for November 2022, but up to now seem to be a slight drop compared to last month, 524 and 519. But this minor fluctuation is not a good indicator of the future, but based on loan to value changes and TDSR calculation changes on the quantum of loan that an individual can get, I suspect that we might see pressure on the transacted prices. So for four-room flats. So let's take a quick look now at the bigger ones, the five-room flat for the whole of Singapore. So 347 for November 2022. Let's compare that with, again, 2021, 735. Yeah, potentially we might hit the number, but I'm not sure. I have my doubts. We might not hit it. In 2020, we had 620. I think we may not even hit that number, but I could be wrong. And then pre-COVID, November, you can see 479. So we are still tracking almost at or above pre-COVID levels. But the prices in the past 2 months, you can see the median PSF for the past 2 months, whole of Singapore, five-room flat, has slight change downwards. And is the loan to value and the loan amount available for an individual with a similar income due to the TDSR calculation changes affecting the price? I suspect. And we have to wait and see, but looks like a slight slowdown. Then let's look at executive flat. So here, there's a lot of talk about Oh, it's going to be a big issue because of the $1 million focus on the $1 million flats and how to cool them down. So have things changed? Yes, in October we have 119 for this year compared to last year. Compared to last year, it's 202. So are we going to hit 202? I don't think so. And how are we going to compare to 2020 where we had 233 flats sold, executive flats sold. So I think the transaction volume is probably going to be lower for November. But and really if you look at pre-COVID, right? Pre-COVID the numbers were much lower. So during COVID the need for someone to have more rooms in the house definitely shows up. There is also this people who sell private and move to executive HDB flats. It's pretty apparent in the market. So whether the new rule is going to shift that volume downwards compared to 2019, we have to wait and see. But I think we are probably going to hit 2019 volumes slightly higher. As for prices, of course, today's prices are much higher than 2019, but there seems to be a slight softening in the past 2 months. So my two takeaway from the data so far is if I need to sell my flat, whether I'm buying a private property next year or maybe I need a smaller place for myself or maybe a bigger HDB place for myself. If I'm going to sell, I will sell now. That's the first point. The second point is if I need to sell and I know that I need fair value for my property, I need someone who can do a good job selling my property, finding the right buyer, matching them with the flat that I'm trying to sell, and getting good fair value and better price. So those two things really matter. So get the right agent, and I wish you all the best.